Welcome to the Deep Dive. This week, we're turning our attention to the Indo-Pacific. And there's really a perfect storm brewing. We're seeing this critical convergence of, well, escalating military tensions and actual tropical cyclones all happening across the South China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. So we're here to give you the facts, the different perspectives, and, the surprising connections. But before we jump in, just a quick word. This deep dive is brought to you by ProWave AI, and our entire brief, everything we're about to discuss, is generated by Stylo News. That's the AI-powered news application that transforms raw data into real, actionable intelligence in under 60 seconds.
So let's unpack this dual challenge for you. Our sources are really showing two simultaneous threats over the past couple of weeks. On one side, you have the just continuous tropical activity.
Typhoons, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Typhoons, Tiantian, Tenking, Koto, and Nokan. We've all been forecasted or have already formed, and that forces regional defense teams, especially in, say, Vietnam and the Philippines, to divert resources to disaster preparedness.
And crucially, this weather risk is happening right alongside a dramatic escalation of military maneuvering. When you have a massive U.S. strike group, like the USS George Washington, operating in the region, the stress of constant typhoons, it tests more than just logistics.
It's just strategic choices.
Yeah,
Under maximum stress.
precisely.
And at the very same time, we've documented China conducting its largest maritime deployment to date.
How large are we talking?
Over 100 naval and Coast Guard vessels, spanning the Yellow Sea all the way into the Western Pacific. And this wasn't just about massing ships. It was highly assertive.
Provocative.
Very. Our sources confirm specific provocative acts, like firing signal flares at Philippine patrol aircraft near Subi Reef, and even conducting radar lock-ons against Japanese F-15 fighters near Okinawa.
So the reaction, I have to imagine, has been incredibly swift.
And layered, yes.
Locally, for instance, you see the Philippines asserting its sovereignty in a very symbolic way, deploying its flagship, the BRP Teresa Magbanua, to the disputed Scarborough Shoal.
A highly symbolic move. The ship is named after a national hero.
And then nationally, Taiwan announced this historic $40 billion defense budget increase through 2030.
That's right, and that budget is aimed squarely at what's called asymmetric deterrence.
Which, in simple terms, means they can't match China ship for ship, so they're trying to make any invasion attempt just prohibitively costly.
Exactly. They're planning capabilities like their Taiwan Dome, a layered missile defense system, to do just that.
And internationally, what are the countermeasures there?
Well, the U.S. established a new 60-person joint task force in the Philippines. And Japan is making a really significant policy shift here.
The missile exports.
Yes, openly considering exports of its Type 03 surface-to-air missile. For Japan, that's a major change.
Moving beyond that traditional, purely self-defensive posture.
It is. And what's also fascinating here is the diplomacy. You have nations that are traditionally very cautious on Taiwan, like Thailand and Vietnam, publicly calling for peace.
Which signals a new regional consensus forming against coercion, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
So these actions are a severe escalation. How are the three major sort of power blocks framing their strategies? I think you can categorize them as the asserters, the deterrents, and the mediators.
That's a good way to look at it. The asserters, primarily China, focus on defending what they term indisputable sovereignty. They reject international arbitration and continue to use lawfare, using legal frameworks as a tactic.
Right. And their action is to just maintain that constant military pressure.
Correct. On the other side, you have the deterrents. It's the U.S., Taiwan, the Philippines, and Japan.
Emphasizing freedom of navigation and bolstering alliances. But it raises an important question. Does that asymmetric deterrence, like Taiwan's new dome system, truly offer a feasible defense?
The deterrents believe it buys time and, critically, raises the cost of any action. And finally, you have the mediators, mostly ASEAN and the UN.
And they're calling for dialogue.
Peaceful dialogue and adherence to international law, specifically UNCLS. And what's interesting is they're pursuing cooperation on non-military issues, like declining fish stocks, as a sort of diplomatic common ground.
So, looking ahead, what are the critical developments you should be watching for?
A few key things. The full operationalization of that U.S.-Philippines Joint Task Force is one. Also, monitor the International Symposium on Global Ocean Governance in Hainan. That's December 10th to the 12th.
And that event will showcase this dual-track strategy we've talked about.
Exactly. Military posturing right alongside environmental diplomacy. And it's crucial to remember one thing, that 2027 timeline you often hear about.
Yes.
Experts clarify that refers to when China might acquire the military capability for a major action.
Huh?
It does not mean an invasion is imminent.
So the focus remains on strategic preparedness, not panic.
Precisely.
I think the key takeaway then is realizing the region is using environmental cooperation, typhoon relief, fishing agreements, as the final diplomatic line of defense against outright conflict.
It shows that even amidst the highest tension, common survival grounds still exist.
That was a deep dive into the core events of the last 2 weeks. This brief, and hundreds more like it, are created by Stylo News.
Stylo News is a powerful mobile and computer application that allows you to instantly download and customize personal intelligence-style briefs. It pulls from hundreds of traditional news sources, social media like X, it auto-translates content, and synthesizes complex queries into readable answers in under a minute.
If you value this kind of rapid, thoroughly sourced intelligence, we encourage you to subscribe to Stylo News, where you can get AI-powered news on demand. Visit www.stylonews.com today.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We always welcome your suggestions for future topics. Follow Stylo News on your favorite social media platforms. G'day.